You become their only priority. Your SP devotes themselves to you. Stop for a moment and take a deep breath, because this is the moment you stop wondering whether you are important to the person you desire and begin stepping into the certainty that you are deeply valued, chosen, respected, and prioritized. You are not here to chase someone, convince someone, or beg someone to recognize your worth. You are here to change the story you have been carrying within yourself. Imagine waking up with an entirely different sense of certainty, a quiet knowing that you are no longer fighting for attention, because love, effort, communication, and devotion are naturally flowing toward you. Your specific person is no longer a distant possibility in your mind. You are becoming comfortable with the assumption that you are someone they genuinely value and make room for. You are becoming the person who expects consistency instead of confusion, affection instead of anxiety, and mutual effort instead of one-sided pursuit. The most powerful shift begins inside you. When you stop identifying as the person who is waiting to be chosen and start identifying as the person who is naturally worthy of being chosen, your emotional world changes. You no longer react to every silence, every delay, or every circumstance as though it has the power to determine your future. You return to your inner decision: I am valuable, I am loved, I am prioritized, I am worthy of a relationship where devotion is mutual and effortless. Let that assumption become familiar. Let it become normal. Let yourself imagine receiving the attention you once worried you would never receive. Imagine your SP willingly making time for you, wanting to communicate with you, caring about your feelings, and showing through consistent actions that you matter. Do not strain to make it happen. Do not obsessively search for signs. Simply enter the feeling of being secure in your value. Because this journey is not about controlling another human being. It is about transforming the version of yourself that you bring into love. You are releasing the identity that settles for uncertainty and stepping into the identity that expects respect, honesty, affection, and consistency. From this moment forward, you are no longer asking, what if they don't choose me? You are asking, what would it feel like to know that I am already worthy of the love I desire? And as that feeling becomes familiar, you begin carrying yourself differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You respond differently. You stop chasing validation because you know your value does not disappear when someone is silent. You stop competing for attention because you know you deserve to be someone's genuine priority. So listen carefully to the words that follow, because these 5 powerful shifts are designed to help you move from uncertainty into inner security, from chasing into receiving, and from fear into the assumption that you are deeply worthy of love. Your story does not have to remain the same. The moment you choose a new inner story, you begin creating space for a new experience. This is your moment to decide that love can be mutual, communication can be consistent, and you can be deeply valued without abandoning yourself. Step into that identity now, feel it, accept it, and let the version of you who knows they are worthy take the lead. There comes a moment when you realize that chasing love was never the destination. You were never meant to spend your days wondering when someone would finally recognize your value, when they would call, when they would text, when they would finally decide that you are important enough to pursue. Your power begins returning the moment you stop placing your worth in someone else's hands. You are not here to convince your specific person to choose you. You are here to become deeply secure in the assumption that you are already worthy of being chosen, loved, respected, and prioritized. Feel the difference between these two identities. One waits anxiously for evidence, while the other knows their value regardless of circumstances. Today, step into the second identity. Imagine yourself waking up with the quiet certainty that you are someone who naturally receives love and attention. You don't need to chase because you are not operating from lack. You don't need to compete because you are not afraid of being replaced. You don't need to constantly check your phone because your emotional security does not depend upon a notification. You have decided who you are. You are valuable. You are unforgettable. You are worthy of consistency. You are worthy of someone making an effort to be part of your life. Let this become your dominant inner conversation. When your mind asks, "What if they don't choose me?" gently replace it with, "I am someone who is naturally chosen and valued." When fear says, "Maybe they don't care," return to, "I deserve relationships where care is clearly expressed." This is not about forcing another person's behavior or controlling their choices. It is about changing the standard you hold for yourself and the kind of relationship you are willing to experience. You stop identifying with rejection and start identifying with self-respect. You stop imagining yourself waiting outside the door of love and start seeing yourself already standing in the emotional state of being loved. Your SP may have their own thoughts, choices, circumstances, and timing, but none of those things need to determine your sense of worth. Your inner stability belongs to you. As you become more secure, you naturally stop reacting to every external detail. A delayed response is no longer a declaration about your value. A quiet day is no longer proof that everything is falling apart. You remain grounded because you know what you deserve. You allow connection to unfold through mutual choice, communication, and genuine effort. And this is where your energy changes. You become less desperate for reassurance and more comfortable receiving it. You become less focused on proving yourself and more focused on living as someone who already knows they are worthy. You begin carrying yourself with the confidence of someone who expects healthy love. You expect respect. You expect honesty. You expect consistency. You expect affection that does not require begging. Most importantly, you refuse to abandon yourself simply because someone else has not yet shown you what you want to see. Your new identity says, "I am chosen because I am worthy of being chosen. I am loved because I am worthy of love. I am prioritized because I deserve relationships built on mutual effort." Let that assumption become familiar. Let it become natural. You are no longer chasing an outcome from a place of fear. You are becoming the person who knows their value and allows love to meet them there. And when you truly stop chasing, you create something even more powerful than attention. You create inner freedom. You no longer need someone else's immediate response to feel complete. You are complete already. From that foundation, love becomes something you participate in consciously rather than something you desperately pursue. So breathe deeply, release the need to force anything, and return to your chosen identity. You are worthy. You are valuable. You are deserving of mutual devotion. You are someone whose presence matters. And from this moment forward, you choose yourself first, and you allow the right kind of love to choose you in return. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to become more attractive, more interesting, or more worthy in someone else's eyes and begin becoming secure in your own identity. You do not need to perform for love. You do not need to constantly prove that you are special. You do not need to compete with anyone for attention. The version of you who knows their value does not spend every moment asking, "How can I make them notice me?" Instead, they live with the quiet certainty, "I am naturally worthy of being noticed, respected, appreciated, and loved." This is the identity you are stepping into now. Imagine waking up and feeling completely comfortable with yourself. You know that your presence has value. You know that you bring something unique into a relationship. You know that you deserve someone who sees you, appreciates you, and willingly makes an effort to maintain a meaningful connection. You are no longer trying to manipulate circumstances into giving you reassurance. You are building a self-concept that does not collapse whenever circumstances temporarily look different from what you desire. Your specific person does not have to become the source of your confidence. Your confidence begins with you. When you see yourself as valuable, you naturally begin accepting relationships that reflect that value. You communicate with greater calmness. You stop over-explaining. You stop begging for attention. You stop interpreting every small change as a personal rejection. You become emotionally grounded, and that groundedness changes the way you experience love. Instead of thinking, "How do I get them to choose me?" you begin thinking, "I am worthy of a relationship where choosing each other is natural and mutual." This distinction is everything. Your goal is not to control another person's mind or remove their freedom. Your goal is to become so secure within yourself that you no longer feel compelled to chase validation. You become magnetic through authenticity, confidence, self-respect, and emotional stability. Picture yourself in the relationship you desire, not as someone desperately holding on, but as someone peacefully receiving affection. Imagine conversations where you feel heard. Imagine mutual effort. Imagine someone remembering the little things that matter to you. Imagine being treated with tenderness and consideration. Most importantly, imagine how you feel inside when you no longer question your place in someone's life. Feel the calmness of knowing that healthy love does not require you to abandon yourself. This is the identity you are rehearsing internally. Every time your mind creates an anxious scenario, gently return to your chosen story. I am valuable, I am worthy of consistent love, I am easy to appreciate, I am deserving of mutual effort. You are not trying to hypnotize yourself into believing something impossible. You are strengthening a healthier expectation for how you deserve to be treated. Your external relationships can change, but your foundation remains yours. When you stop measuring your value through another person's attention, you become much harder to shake emotionally. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can desire someone without making them responsible for your happiness. You can hope for a relationship while still maintaining your dignity and independence. And that is real power. Becoming unforgettable does not mean becoming obsessed over by someone. It means becoming unforgettable to yourself. You remember who you are. You remember what you deserve. You remember that your life is bigger than one person's response. From this place, you naturally become more confident, more radiant, and more selective about the love you allow into your world. You are no longer begging to be someone's priority. You are embodying the identity of someone who expects mutual devotion, honest communication, genuine affection, and consistent effort. Let that identity settle into you now. Walk as that person, think as that person, make decisions as that person. You are not chasing love. You are becoming the version of yourself who is fully prepared to receive healthy, reciprocal love when it arrives. There is a moment when love stops feeling like something you have to earn and starts feeling like something you are worthy of receiving. That moment begins within you when you decide that being valued, respected, and prioritized is not an extraordinary event, but a healthy standard for the relationships you desire. You are no longer imagining yourself waiting endlessly for a message, wondering why someone is distant, or analyzing every little action for evidence of affection. Instead, you are becoming comfortable with the feeling of being considered. You imagine your specific person willingly making time for you, communicating openly, remembering the details that matter, checking in because they genuinely care, and making an effort because your presence has meaning in their life. Do not focus on forcing these actions from another person. Focus on the internal experience of being treated with consideration and mutual respect. Ask yourself what it would feel like to stop questioning whether you matter. What would change if you simply expected healthy love? Your thoughts would become calmer. Your reactions would become steadier. You would no longer interpret every temporary circumstance as a final answer. You would understand that your worth remains intact, regardless of what happens in a single moment. This is the foundation of becoming someone who expects to be prioritized. You begin telling yourself, I deserve consistency. I deserve communication. I deserve affection. I deserve someone who willingly makes space for me. Repeat these assumptions until they feel familiar rather than foreign. When your mind begins creating fearful stories, do not fight with yourself. Simply redirect your attention toward the experience you have chosen. Imagine receiving a thoughtful message and feeling calm rather than shocked. Imagine making plans together and knowing that your time matters. Imagine being listened to without having to repeatedly explain why something is important to you. Imagine feeling secure enough to enjoy love instead of constantly monitoring it. The purpose of this visualization is not to control another person's decisions. It is to establish an inner standard for the kind of relationship you are willing to participate in. Your self-concept becomes the foundation from which you communicate, choose, and respond. When you expect respect, you are less likely to accept disrespect. When you expect consistency, You notice inconsistency instead of rationalizing it away. When you value yourself, you stop trying to purchase affection with endless giving. You understand that genuine connection requires participation from both people. Your specific person has their own agency, emotions, and choices, but you can choose the story you carry about yourself. I am worthy of being prioritized in healthy mutual relationships. Let that become your emotional home. Feel the relief of not having to chase. Feel the peace of not having to prove yourself. Feel the confidence of knowing that someone who truly wants to build a relationship with you will demonstrate that desire through their actions. This is where your inner world becomes powerful. Not because you are controlling another person, but because you are no longer controlled by fear. You stop handing your emotional state to every notification, every silence, every social media post, or every change in communication. You return to yourself. You remember that your value is stable. You remember that love should not require you to lose your dignity. And from that stability, you become capable of receiving affection without immediately fearing its disappearance. You begin to embody the energy of someone who says, I am worth the effort. I am worth the time. I am worth the honesty. I am worth the consistency. Let those words become more than affirmations. Let them become standards. You are building a relationship with yourself in which being valued feels normal. You are teaching your mind that healthy love can be peaceful, reciprocal, and secure. And as you carry that expectation into your life, you become more discerning about what you accept and more open to the love that genuinely meets you with equal effort. You no longer ask, how can I make myself important to them? You ask, am I participating in a relationship where we naturally make each other important? That is the shift. You choose mutuality, you choose self-respect, you choose consistency. You choose a love where priority is demonstrated through genuine care, communication, and action. And from this new standard, you stop chasing proof and start recognizing the kind of love you truly deserve. There is a powerful freedom that comes when you stop allowing every external circumstance to determine what you believe about yourself and your relationships. A message that has not arrived, a quiet day, a change in someone's behavior, or a moment of distance does not have to become the definition of your entire love story. When you constantly measure love through circumstances, your emotional state becomes dependent on things you cannot control. One moment you feel chosen because you receive attention, and the next moment you feel rejected because communication becomes quiet. This constant movement creates anxiety, and anxiety makes you search for reassurance instead of experiencing love with peace. It is time to step out of that cycle. Your new identity is not built around monitoring someone else's behavior. It is built around knowing your own value. You can desire your specific person while refusing to let temporary circumstances decide whether you are worthy of love. You can hope for a beautiful relationship while remaining grounded in yourself. You can acknowledge what is happening without immediately turning one event into a prediction about the future. This is emotional power. When something does not happen according to your expectations, pause before creating a negative story. Instead of thinking, they are ignoring me, so I must not matter, remind yourself, one moment does not define my worth. Instead of thinking, they have not reached out, so everything is over, remind yourself, I choose relationships based on mutual communication, respect, and consistent action. This does not mean pretending that unhealthy behavior is acceptable. It means learning to distinguish between a temporary circumstance and a repeated pattern. Healthy manifestation inspired thinking should never require you to ignore reality, tolerate disrespect, or abandon your boundaries. Your inner assumption can be one of self respect. I am worthy of love that is clear, mutual, and consistent. From this position, you become much calmer. You no longer need to chase every piece of evidence. You stop refreshing your phone repeatedly. You stop analyzing every word. You stop allowing one person's silence to become a judgment against yourself. You return to your center. You remember who you are. You remember that your life contains possibilities beyond one relationship outcome. And paradoxically, this emotional freedom allows you to experience relationships more clearly. You can see whether someone is genuinely showing up instead of trying to convince yourself that they are. You can appreciate affection without becoming dependent on it. You can receive attention without immediately fearing that it will disappear. You can love without losing your identity. Imagine the peace of waking up and knowing, I do not have to chase anyone to prove that I am worthy. Feel the relief in those words. You are not competing for a place in someone's life. You are allowing people to demonstrate through their choices whether they are capable of meeting you where you stand. Your specific person is responsible for their own thoughts, feelings, and actions, just as you are responsible for yours. What you control is your standard, your self-concept, your boundaries, and the meaning you assign to your experiences. So when circumstances seem confusing, return to your chosen foundation. I am worthy, I am respected, I am deserving of mutual love. I do not need to panic, I do not need to chase, I can remain grounded. Let that become your emotional reflex. Every time fear appears, choose stability. Every time doubt appears, choose self-respect. Every time you feel tempted to seek reassurance, pause and reassure yourself first. You are not trying to deny what is happening around you. You are refusing to let circumstances dictate who you believe yourself to be. And as you develop this stability, you become stronger in love and stronger in life. You begin to understand that being prioritized is not about demanding constant attention. It is about participating in a relationship where both people willingly contribute, communicate, and care. Your peace is valuable. Your dignity is valuable. Your time is valuable. Let your new assumption be simple. I am worthy of love that feels safe, mutual, and consistent. Carry that belief forward and let your actions reflect it. You are no longer measuring your worth through someone else's momentary behavior. You are measuring your relationships by the standards of respect, reciprocity, honesty, and genuine care. That is where your power begins. There comes a point when you stop living in the endless question of, when will it happen? And begin experiencing the emotional peace of knowing what kind of love you are ready to receive. Living from the end does not mean pretending another person has no freedom or trying to control their thoughts and actions. It means choosing the internal destination you want to embody. Security, mutual affection, respect, consistency, communication, and genuine commitment. Instead of constantly imagining the absence of what you desire, begin imagining yourself as the version of you who already feels emotionally secure. Picture waking up without the familiar anxiety of wondering where you stand. Picture looking at your phone without fear, knowing that your emotional stability does not depend on whether a particular notification appears. Imagine having conversations where both people feel heard, making plans together, laughing together, sharing affection, and showing through actions that the relationship matters. Notice how different this feels from chasing. There is no begging in this vision. There is no competition. There is no need to prove that you are worthy. There is simply the calm expectation that love can be mutual and consistent. This is the state you are practicing internally. When you repeatedly return to that feeling, you begin changing the way you see yourself and the way you participate in relationships. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop interpreting every silence as rejection and every delay as abandonment. You understand that circumstances can change, people can make their own decisions, and relationships develop through real communication and mutual effort. Your inner work is about choosing who you want to be within that process. You choose to be confident rather than desperate. You choose self-respect rather than obsession. You choose patience without putting your entire life on hold. You choose hope without abandoning reality. Say to yourself, I am worthy of a relationship that is secure. I am worthy of someone who communicates clearly. I am worthy of affection that is expressed through action. I am worthy of mutual devotion. Let these words settle into your mind until they no longer feel like something you are trying to convince yourself to believe. Let them become standards you naturally carry. When you imagine your desired relationship, focus less on controlling a particular person's behavior and more on the quality of the experience. Feel what it means to be respected. Feel what it means to be listened to. Feel what it means to be appreciated. Feel what it means to know that you can remain yourself while being deeply connected to another person. This is the true meaning of living from the end. You stop rehearsing the emotional state of lack and begin rehearsing the emotional state of fulfillment. You stop saying, I will finally feel worthy when they choose me, and begin saying, I am worthy now, and I choose relationships that reflect that worth. That distinction changes everything. Your happiness no longer has to wait for a future event. You can cultivate peace today. You can take care of yourself today. You can become more confident today. You can create a life that feels meaningful today. And when love enters that life, it becomes an addition to your wholeness, rather than a rescue from emptiness. Your specific person may or may not ultimately be the person who shares that future with you, and acknowledging that possibility does not weaken your vision. It strengthens your self-respect. You are not asking for crumbs. You are not settling for confusion. You are allowing a relationship to prove itself through mutual choice and consistent action. So, close your eyes and imagine the feeling of being completely secure in love. Feel the calmness in your chest. Feel the smile that comes naturally when you know you are appreciated. Feel the freedom of being loved without losing yourself. Carry that feeling into your day, not as a demand placed upon another person, but as a standard for the life and relationships you are creating. You are no longer waiting for someone else to complete the story. You are becoming the author of your own identity. You choose love that is mutual. You choose connection that is honest. You choose devotion that is demonstrated. You choose peace over obsession. And from that place, you are ready for a relationship where two people freely choose each other, prioritize each other, and build something real together. That is the end you are moving toward, not control, but connection, not desperation, but certainty, not chasing, but mutual love.